My name is Emma Carter, and I was 31 years old when my mother-in-law tried to make me pay rent for a home I had purchased years before I ever met her son. I worked as a mechanical maintenance officer at a large manufacturing company, where solving difficult problems and paying attention to every detail was part of my daily life. Years before my marriage, I had worked hard, saved every dollar, and finally bought a comfortable two-bedroom apartment on Maple Avenue with my own money. Every receipt, bank statement, and legal document was carefully organized because I believed honesty always leaves a clear paper trail. After marrying Ryan Carter, he moved into my apartment since it was close to both of our workplaces. His mother, Patricia Brooks, lived in Oak Ridge Hills and seemed kind during the first few weeks. She often visited with homemade food and warm smiles, making me believe I had married into a loving family. But little by little, things began to change. Without asking my permission, Ryan gave Patricia a spare key to my apartment. She started coming whenever she wanted, rearranging my kitchen, replacing household items, and even calling my furniture family property. Instead of arguing, I quietly observed everything because I believed wise people collect facts before making accusations. One afternoon Patricia casually asked, "Whose name is on this apartment now?" I answered confidently, "Mine." She smiled strangely and simply replied, "We'll see." Her words stayed in my mind, but I convinced myself I was overthinking. A few weeks later, Ryan brought home a thick folder of documents. He smiled and said they were only routine legal papers recommended by his family's lawyer to protect both of us after marriage. Although something felt unusual, I trusted my husband. Before signing, I carefully stored copies of every document proving I had purchased the apartment years before marriage using only my own savings. I believed those records would always protect me. I had no idea that one signature hidden among dozens of pages would quietly change everything. Exactly 93 days after our wedding, Ryan invited me to Sunday dinner at Patricia's house. Everything seemed normal until Patricia slowly placed a folded paper in front of me. Written across the page were the words, "Monthly family rent, $1,000. She smiled politely and said, "Now that you're part of this family, your apartment belongs to the family too. Starting next month, you'll pay $1,000 in rent." The room became completely silent. I simply smiled back and replied, "Then I'll just move back to my own apartment." Ryan looked at me with complete confusion before letting out a small laugh. Then he asked the question that changed everything. "What apartment?" After that dinner, I didn't argue with anyone. I didn't accuse Ryan or Patricia of lying, and I didn't reveal what I was thinking. Instead, I quietly began watching everything around me. Every morning I followed my normal routine, went to work, returned home, and carefully observed every unusual detail. A few days later, while reviewing our joint household bank account, I noticed something that immediately caught my attention. Every month exactly $1,100 was being transferred to an unfamiliar account. The payment happened on the same date without fail. I checked previous statements and discovered the same transfer had started shortly after our wedding. When I casually asked Ryan about it over breakfast, he barely looked up from his phone. "It's probably an old automatic payment," he said. "I'll check it later." I immediately knew he wasn't telling the truth because the transfers had only started after we got married. That answer created even more questions. A few days later, I arrived home earlier than usual and found Patricia inside my apartment again. This time she wasn't cleaning. She was walking from room to room carrying a small notebook, writing down my furniture, electronics, and valuable belongings. When she noticed me, she smiled confidently and said, "I'm just making an inventory for insurance purposes." Her explanation made no sense. As a mechanical maintenance officer, I understood how documentation worked, and no insurance company had asked for anything like this. She wasn't protecting my property, she was acting as if it already belonged to someone else. That night I decided to investigate quietly. I searched my own property records and requested copies of every legal document connected to my apartment. While waiting for the official records, I noticed the name of a loan servicing company I had never dealt with before appearing in our financial history. It wasn't connected to my original mortgage. Something else had been attached to my apartment without my knowledge. Before I could receive the documents, another strange event happened. One afternoon, an official envelope arrived addressed to both Ryan and me. Before I could even open it, Ryan rushed over, grabbed it from my hands, smiled nervously, and said, "It's just refinance paperwork. Nothing important." His unusually fast reaction told me everything. He wasn't protecting me. He was hiding something. I didn't argue. Instead, I let him take the envelope because sometimes the way a person reacts reveals far more than the document itself. The next morning, I ordered complete public records for my apartment. 2 days later, another envelope from the same loan company accidentally remained on my hallway table after Patricia had visited. This time no one stopped me. I quietly opened it and felt my entire world become still. Inside was a home equity line of credit statement secured against my apartment. Both my name and Ryan's name appeared on the loan documents. Even worse, page after page showed thousands of dollars already withdrawn from the equity of the apartment I had purchased with my own savings years before marriage. I stared at every transaction in complete silence. The rent had never been the real plan. The rent was only a distraction. Someone had been secretly using my home to borrow money, and my signature had somehow made it possible. Emma left the apartment that evening with a complete copy of every document stored safely in multiple places. The following morning she met with an experienced property lawyer named Daniel Foster. One by one, she placed every document on his desk: the original purchase records, the bank transfer proving the apartment had been bought years before her marriage, the deed history, the home equity line of credit, and every bank statement tracing where the borrowed money had gone. After reviewing everything carefully, Daniel looked at her and said, "This isn't just a family disagreement. This is a carefully planned deception." Together they traced every dollar and discovered that most of the money borrowed against Emma's apartment had been used to pay Patricia Brooks' overdue mortgage, while the remaining funds had cleared Ryan's hidden personal debts. The so-called family rent had never been about helping the family. It was only meant to keep Emma from discovering that her apartment had already been used as financial security without her full understanding. Daniel immediately prepared legal documents to protect the property, freeze any further borrowing, and begin divorce proceedings. A few days later, Patricia invited everyone to another family meeting, believing Emma would finally agree to pay the monthly rent. Instead, Emma calmly placed a folder on the dining table and laid every document in perfect order. She showed the proof that she alone had purchased the apartment years before marriage, the legal records showing Ryan had been added as co-owner through misleading paperwork, and the loan statements proving the money had been used to save Patricia's house and repay Ryan's personal debts. The room fell completely silent. Ryan admitted the loan had been his idea after Patricia convinced him it was only temporary. Patricia tried to justify everything by claiming the family had been struggling financially and believed Emma should help because she had more money. Emma quietly replied, "Helping someone is an act of kindness. Taking someone else's property through deception is betrayal." Patricia lowered her head without another word. Within days Ryan signed legal documents returning full ownership of the apartment to Emma, accepted responsibility for every remaining loan, and the divorce was finalized peacefully. Emma changed every lock, removed every unauthorized key, and finally enjoyed the quiet home she had worked so hard to build. She realized that trust is precious, but wisdom requires honesty, clear communication, and transparency from everyone. Real families never manipulate, deceive, or pressure one another for financial gain. This story reminds us that respect, justice, honesty, and protecting the rights of others build strong families, while greed, dishonesty, manipulation, betrayal of trust, and taking what does not belong to us only destroy relationships. Moral lesson. Never abuse someone's trust, never claim what belongs to another person, always deal honestly, seek justice with patience, and remember that true family relationships are built on respect, fairness, and integrity, not control or selfishness. If you discovered that someone you trusted had secretly taken advantage of your kindness, would you respond with anger, or would you calmly protect your rights through wisdom, patience, and honesty?